First of all, let me remind you some of the important notes like our previous class. Here, the Dhamma provided in this presentation is simple and not Kampira or profound. People must continuously study Dhamma or else it will lead to Mahatapa, Nirya or hell because it is Miccha Titti, not following the Buddha's teaching. If any provided current content contrasts with Dhamma 84,000 Dhammakanta, please refer to Dhamma 84,000 Dhammakanta only. Okay. And next one. Last time we discussed about the Buddhist time scale. That one asankhaya is very long time, and it's quite uncomparable to our time frame in our life. We live only 100 years. Okay. Sorry, the wrong slide. let me begin again. That one is the wrong slide. This one. One moment.
This class will be 1 hour, so you will feel very free, no, not too serious.
One moment.
No. We will start from the beginning of the when we start to Sikkha Dhamma. What is the beginning? What is the root of the Dhamma that we should start?
Okay, this one is the correct one. Okay, sorry. Last time, after important notes, we discussed about the time scale. It needs a very long time. It's quite uncomparable to our knowledge. We use only 24 years, but before Gautama Buddha enlightened, the Buddha needs 20 Sankhaya and 100,000 kappa, which is very, very long time. That's why to understand Dhamma, we have to be very patient, and it's time consuming, and we have to put our efforts, a lot of efforts to try to understand Dhamma. Next, for us, we are going to be Buddha Parisa, for Buddha Parisa or Buddha Jatu Parisa. All 4 Buddha Parisa consisting of Bhikkhu, Bhikkhuni, Ubasaka, and Ubasika. For Buddha Parisa, we have 3 main responsibilities, which are for Buddha Parisa must well understand the Tipitaka 84,000 Dhammakanta. The second one is for Buddha Parisa must be able to correctly present 84,000 Dhammakanta. And the last one is for Buddha Parisa must be able to correct those who condemned or misunderstand the Tipitaka 84,000 Dhammakanta. That is what we have to deal with. Okay.
Okay. Again, we say sadhu to our Tipitaka Dhammacariya Suchatnakon and Than Angka Kuna Arya Dhamma Sotapanna. Again, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Nauti Upaniti Pantha Anumodami.
They do their Buddha Parisa responsibility. All of that three responsible things that, and we follow them to keep and to maintain Buddha Parisa responsibility to make and to deliver
next generation,
to deliver the Buddhism to the next generation. Last time we discussed that we mentioned that Dhamma 84,000 Dhammakanta categorized into 2 groups. One is Vinaya 21,000 Dhammakanta. Another one is Dhamma 63,000 Dhammakanta. And under Dhamma, 63,000 Dhamma Kanta categorized into two groups. One is Suttanta Suttanta Pitaka, 21,000 Dhamma Kanta, and another one is Abhidhamma Pitaka, 42,000 Dhamma Kanta. And under Abhidhamma Pitaka, 42,000 Dhamma Kanta categorized into Paramattha Dhamma and Panyati Dhamma. Under Paramattha Dhamma, it consisting of Chitta 121, Cetasika 52, and Rupa 28, and 1 Nibbana. To understand Dhamma, we have to be able to recite Chitta 121, Cetasika 52, and Rupa 28. This is the first step to enter for us to understand, to study Dhamma or Sikkha. And the second step that we mentioned in our previous class, that we have to be able to identify the communication language and Dhamma language. Okay. And in this class, we are going into details about communication language and Dhamma language, and also in details of Chitta 121. First, let me remind you that communication language is the language that has been used by people and not involving with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha. When Gautama Buddha was Bodhisattva was using the communication language also. Communication language cannot be used for understanding Dhamma. Okay? And for Dhamma language or Buddha Vajana, that after the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, the Gautama Buddha redefined the language that people was using for communication at that time to be Dhamma language. Therefore, each word that present in the teaching of Gautama Buddha cannot be translated by dictionary. I emphasize this phrase that it cannot be translated by dictionary. Instead, to understand each word presented in the teaching of Gautama Buddha, we must continuously study the teaching of Gautama Buddha, because the meaning of the word will be completely different from dictionary. Okay. Last time I also mentioned that for communication language, to understand Dhamma, you have to translate from your communication language, whether English, German, India, Sri Lanka, Thai, Myanmar, Cambodia, translate into Makatha language. And from Makatha language, with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, and then Makatha language is redefined by the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha to be Dhamma language. This one, human, we use language for communication. This is communication language. Once Gautama Buddha enlightened, with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, the same word and with redefined by Gautama Buddha, it's become Dhamma language that leads to Nirvana. This is very important. It's the same word, but instead of translate by a dictionary or using by the people for communication, that the same word is redefined by the Gautama Buddha after the enlightenment, that leads to Nirvana. For example, like Lopa. This is Makatha language, communication language. Translate into English by dictionary, meaning greed, passion, unskillful desire. This Lopa translate by dictionary into English. And the same words, and the same thing happened here. Tosa or Makatha language, translate by a dictionary into English, means aversion, hatred, anger. This one, Tosa, translate by dictionary into English. No enlightenment of the Gautama Buddha involved. Moha, translate by dictionary into English. Confusion, bewilderment, delusion. also translate by dictionary. Nothing involved with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha. Citta, translate by dictionary in English, mean heart, mind, and emphasizing it is more the emotive side of mind as opposite to manas, something like this. This is translation of citta by dictionary into English. Nothing involved with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha. The next example, Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami, translate by English, by dictionary into English. I observe the precept of abstaining from the destruction of life. Okay, this one translate by dictionary into English. Another one, another example. Atinnathana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami, translate by dictionary into English. I observe the precept of attaining from talking that which is not given. Makata, translate by dictionary into English. Okay. The next one, Kame Sumichajara Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami, translate by dictionary into English. I observe the precept of abstaining from sexual misconduct. Until now, you will see nothing involved with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, but only the communication language, Makata language, dictionary, and English. Nothing involved with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha at all. Musawata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami, translate by dictionary into English. I observe the precept of abstaining from falsehood. It's also nothing involved with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha at all. Communication language, dictionary, and communication language. Sura Meraya Machapamatana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami, translate by dictionary into English. I observe the precept of abstaining from intoxicants that cloud the mind and cause carelessness. Also, the same thing happened here. Okay. So when we're talking about Dhamma language need no translation, especially by dictionary. Dhamma language will lead to nirvana and of cyclic of existence. We can use communication. We can use communication language. However, we must be reminded that for profound understanding, we must go back to Dhamma language. Those two languages use the same vocabulary as you've seen before, but completely different meaning. Here, human, we use lopa, and lopa translate by dictionary into greed, desire, craving, attachment. This is communication language, as we shown in example before. Human, use the word lopa, translate into English by dictionary into greed, desire, craving, attachment. This has nothing to do with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha. But with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, the same word lopa, with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, lopa is redefined. Lopa is referred to lopa mula citta 8. This is components, different. It's not greed, desire, craving, attachment anymore. Lopa mean lopa mula citta 8. For the first one, somanasa sahakatang titi kata sampayutang asangkarikang kama vachara akusala lopa mula citta. This is one of the 8. And this is the starting point that leading to nirvana. Without enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, we cannot know this one. We as a human, we know only communication language. Human, lopa, we know greed, desire, craving, attachment. And most of the people know this, but only selected people have a chance to know that with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, lopa is redefined, and lopa becomes lopa mula citta 8. It becomes the starting point to enter steps to nirvana. Okay.
for this point, you teaching about if we only communication translate, we cannot go to the nirvana.
Yes, if you translate, if you keep translate, you might say that it's easier for us to translate. We understand it easily because we familiar with this kind of
Yeah.
word and we familiar with the translation
Yeah.
in whatever language you are familiar with. For example, like us, we familiar to translate this one into Thai language. But for you in for other people in
Foreigner.
foreigners,
Yeah.
I assume that okay, whatever you can translate into your native language.
Yeah.
However, this is an example. For Lopa, translate by dictionary to the language that you're familiar with. It's just communication language. And these kind of things cannot lead to nirvana because, as you can see, nothing involved with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha at all.
It's involved like everyday life.
Yes, only everyday life, and only people in that community, they understand that without any involvement, the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha at all. Human. Lopa is a word in communication language at that time. Translate by dictionary, created by human, and this one is English, also by human.
If we use Pali or Makatha, does this communication language or Dhamma language?
For Pali or Makatha is also communication language that used by people at that time. It's also communication language. Some people may say that it's we didn't use it today, but it's communication language at that time in their generations. So this is very important that you must be able to identify the difference between communication language and Dhamma language. That's why we do emphasize this is one of the steps to start studying Dhamma. Without being able to identify the difference, you cannot see what lies beneath Lopa. For this example, if you cannot identify the Dhamma language, you only see Lopa as a greed, desire, craving, attachment. Nothing involved with the enlightenment of the Buddha. And with that, this word cannot lead to nirvana. It's only lead to communication language, normal. Nothing has to do, there is nothing have to do with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha. But with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, the same word as I mentioned is redefined to Lopa Mula Citta 8. It will be difficult for people who start studying Dhamma because they don't familiar with this kind of word.
I think that if I only start Sikkha Dhamma, why I have to Lopa,
yes,
Lopa Mula Citta 8, very long.
Yes,
I don't want to recite.
Yes,
And how can I study?
Most of the people say that.
Yeah.
But I may say that this is the easiest way to start studying Dhamma. Otherwise, you don't enter the first step to study Dhamma at all. If you keep yourself with the thing that you're familiar and you said it's easier for Lopa as a greed and desire, craving, attachment. This has nothing to do with the Buddhism or has nothing to do with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha.
But every person like to.
Most of the people familiar with this kind of things. That's why we do emphasize that you have to. It's difficult at first, but this is the first step to enter the teaching of Gautama Buddha. And as we mentioned before, that before the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, the Gautama Buddha needs 20 asankhaya and 100,000 kappa. It's very long time. It's almost uncountable for us.
Okay.
That's why it's not that easy.
It's not study. It's
Yes.
Sikkha.
Yes, it's not that easy. That's why it starts something like this. It's something like this. But this is just the first step.
The first step
The first step.
to recite.
Yes, just the first step. And you would think it's quite hard.
Yeah.
I promise you, it's only you unfamiliar with it. But
You have
once
to
you
start.
be able to recite it, you understand how to identify the difference between communication language and Dhamma language. Things will be easier for you.
Okay.
Okay. For the next example, human use tosa and translate by dictionary into aversion, aggression, anger. Is also communication language. Nothing has to do with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha. With the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, here, Tosa is redefined as Tosa Mulacitta too. For the first one is Tomanasasa Katang Patika Sampayutang Asankharikang Kama Vajra Akusala Tosa Mulacitta. The second Tosa Mulacitta is Tomanasasa Katang Patika Sampayutang Sankharikang Kama Vajra Akusala Tosa Mulacitta. And these two is the first step that leads to Nirvana.
Do I have to translate or not all these two phrases?
As I mentioned before, that for Dhamma language, we need no translation. For if you continue study and Sikkha, and each words of these, in each phrase, there are characteristics and their activities hidden under these words. Also, another components and characteristics. And there are conditions that there works with other citta or cetasika and they create new rupa. There are certain conditions and a lot of things will happen from here. That's why I need no translation. Once you translate it, you will not be able to see this kind of component. And once you translate it, you cannot see the characteristic that's hidden beneath these kind of these words and phrases. As the first step here, if you cannot identify the difference between communication language of Tosa, aversion, aggression, anger, something like this. If you cannot identify that, you can see only this communication language. But once you be able to identify the different Tosa in Dhamma language, you start to see these two components. You start to see this. It's not aversion, aggression, anger anymore. It's Tosa Mula Citta too, which consisting of two citta here.
It seems like Paramatha language, Tosa have two phases, two alphabet. Is that
two components?
Yeah.
And each component has their own characteristics.
But we will not explain now.
Yes.
No. Okay.
In detail.
I will try. Okay.
Yes.
Let's go.
Okay. Next example, human, moha. Moha translate by dictionary into ignorance, delusion, bewilderment, stupidity, etc. This is communication language. What happened if the Gautama Buddha enlightened? With the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, the moha becomes moha mula citta too. The first one is upekha sakatang vichikiccha sampyutang asankharikang kama vajra akusala moha mula cittang. The second one is ubekha sakatang uttacca sampyutang asankharikang kama vajra akusala moha mula cittang. You see the difference? This is Dhamma language. And this is communication language.
Very long.
This one, most of the people said, it's easy to remember this way.
Yes.
Why you have to make things so difficult?
Yes.
If you don't know this and remember only this, how come you know the components here? We have two components. And in the future, we will explain more in these characteristics and their activities that creates a lot of activity, create ourselves, create the world, the participation that we have to deal with people. How can we explain that? Because we will explain those kind of things based on this kind of component. We cannot explain everything that happened in this world based on this translation, because this translation show no components and no characteristics, and there is no way that we can use these kind of words to explain what happened in our life, this universe, and what make things happen.
So you will use moha, mula citta or citta 121. Then you will lead us to Sikkha.
And actually, you start Sikkha since you have start since you start recite Chitta.
Oh, so since we recite citta, we start to Sikkha.
Sikkha.
Yes. Okay.
Nothing. Okay. Let me summarize again from those examples.
Yeah.
We translate from communication language into Makatha language. With the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, the Makatha language redefined by Gautama Buddha to be Dhamma language. Here. From English, here, ignorance, delusion, bewilderment, stupidity. Translate by dictionary back to Makatha is moha. And from moha, with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, leads to here, moha mulacitta 2. For example, before, aversion, aggression, anger. By dictionary, this one English. Translate back to Makatha by dictionary, Tosa. And from Tosa, which is Makatha language, redefined by the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha to Tosa Mulacitta 2. This is the way that we translate from communication language back to Makatha language. And then from Makatha language, refer to the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha and go to Dhamma language from here. Greed, desire, craving, attachment, English. Translate by dictionary back to Makatha language is Lopa. From Lopa, with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, redefine it to Lopa Mulacitta 8. This is the way that communication language and Dhamma language works. You need to understand this before study Dhamma.
Very interesting.
Yes. This one, English, greed, desire, craving, attachment. Translate back to Makatha by dictionary into Lopa. And from Lopa, as I mentioned before, here, translate by and go to Dhamma language by the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha to Loma Mulacitta 8. Okay.
Okay.
Until now, you can see. I think you see the way communication language and Dhamma language works.
A little bit. So go on.
Okay. Here. At the beginning of Dhamma study, ability to distinguish of communication language and Dhamma language is essential. I do insist that it's very, very essential. This one, communication language. We are very familiar with Citta, Lopa, Tosa, Moha, etc. We heard a lot of people saying about this. But how many people know the difference and know what happened when what hidden inside those communication language? How many people knows Dhamma language? Which this one is the first step for people who want to study Dhamma. They have to be able to identify communication language and Dhamma language. Because Dhamma language, with the same word, same pronunciation, Citta, Lopa, Tosa, Moha, if you translate by using dictionary, it remains in communication language. But if you refer to the teaching of Gautama Buddha, that the same words will lead to, for the first step, to Dhamma study or Sikkha. And finally, it leads to Nirvana. Okay, let me show you this diagram. This is what happened for most of the people. Since we born, we know communication language. Whatever country you are in, you may use Thai, English, Chinese, Japanese, Indian, etc. We use this communication language for our education. For example, like biology, math, science, management, etc. for our educations. Then we use our educations and our communication language, read Dhamma, and then we translate because when we read Dhamma, it written in Makatha language, and we don't understand the Makatha language. That's why we start to translate it back to our communication language. That's what happened, as I show in the example before. Once we translate back to our communication language, we don't see anything. We can't see the components, and we can't see the characteristic that hidden inside Dhamma language that caused by the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha. And we use communication language and education language to study Dhamma. That's why we keep staying in this cycle, and we don't understand at all what Dhamma is teaching, and how important and why, and how it can explain what happened in this world, in this universe, and every other planes. Right? This is what happened. What happened when we able to identify Dhamma language? We start here. In the beginning, we learn communication language. Thai, English, Chinese, Japanese, Indian, as normal. And then we use communication language for our educations. Here, it's the same, right? We start from communication language. We use communication language for our education. And before, the difference is here. Before we go to Dhamma study, we don't use our education, we don't use our communication language, and we refer back to Dhamma language. Here, from communication language, we refer to Dhamma language. We go back to Dhamma language and start from zero. And also education, we leave our educations behind and we start from zero from here, Dhamma language. Now, once you be able to identify the difference between communication language and Dhamma language, and use Dhamma language as the base to explain everything that happened, including communication language and our education, these things can lead to Dhamma study. And here we use Dhamma language for Dhamma study. And these kind of things, once we unlearn and we relearn about the language, we unlearn our communication language, and we relearn Dhamma language as a new foundation. With this kind of foundation can lead you to the road or the path to Nirvana. This one different. It's hard for you. I understand it hard for you to understand at this time, but I will try to show that it's very, very, very important that you have to be able to differentiate communication language and Dhamma language. This one first. And the second one, that you have to leave your communication language and also your knowledge and educations that you have, leave it behind, and then start from zero from here, Dhamma language. After you have a new base as Dhamma language, as your new foundation, with the communication language you has already known and your education that you have already educated, these two things you will know the things that lies beyond the limits of these two, because that answer lies here, is that it's in Dhamma language. In short, I may explain to you that for normal education, we know about the probability that things might happen or might not happen. That is word that we use. That is word that we use a lot in our daily life. However, the probability never happen in Dhamma language. It explains everything that happened in our lives, exactly what happened.
It seems like if I want to Sikkaya, I have to go back to like a kindergarten.
Yes.
I have to recite first, recite
Yes.
A, B, C, like that. But for Dhamma language, I have to recite Citta 121. That is ABC for Dhamma language.
Yes.
Yeah.
Citta
Okay.
121, Cetasika 52, and Rupa 28.
Okay.
This is where we have to start, and we have to go back to
Like
zero.
kindergarten.
Yes.
When
That-
we was young.
That is
Okay.
what,
Okay.
what will happen.
Okay. So no need to ask that what is mean. What is somana sasaha katang titi kata sambayutang asangkalikan kama wacala akusala lopa mulajita. What does it mean? No need. We have
Yes.
to recite first.
Yes.
Okay.
At this time, no need.
Yeah.
And in the future, we will have more detail to explain in each phrase of that word, that name.
Yeah.
What hidden underneath it.
Okay.
There is still much more to learn. Yes.
Okay.
Another example.
Yeah.
Human, citta, and translate by dictionary, the mind. Here, communication language. Right?
Okay.
And with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, citta redefined as citta 121. First step that leads to nirvana. Citta 121. Okay.
You means that citta is not only one.
Yes, it's not.
If in our life we have everyone say that we have one citta and one kaya, one
Yes,
body, but
because
in Dhamma language, Paramatha teach us that citta have 121.
yes, that's true, because normal people, they translate by dictionary. It's very easy. Dictionary. Citta, the mind.
Yeah, only one.
Only one.
Yeah.
Here. It's citta, only one. It's dictionary.
Mm.
But with the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha, that's why you see what's hidden inside.
Yeah.
Citta is 121. That leads to nirvana. Okay. And for citta 121, it categorized into 4 main groups, which are Kamavachara Citta 54, Rupavachara Citta 15, Arupavachara Citta 12, Lokuttara Citta 40. And under Kamavachara Citta 54,
Yeah.
It's consists of three groups. Yes, it's 3 groups. Akusala Citta 12, Ahetuka Citta 18, Kamavachara Sopana Citta 24. And for Rupavachara Citta 15, there are 3 groups underneath it, which are Rupavachara Mahakusala Citta 5, Rupavachara Mahavipaka Citta 5, Rupavachara Mahakriya Citta 5. And for Arupavachara Citta 12, there are three groups underneath it, which are Arupavachara Mahakusala Citta 4, Arupavachara Mahavipaka Citta 4, Arupavachara Mahakriya Citta 4. And for Lokuttara Citta 40, it's categorized into 2 groups. The first one is Lokuttara Makha Citta 20, and the second one is Lokuttara Phala Citta 20. And for Lokuttara Makha Citta 20, there are 4 groups underneath it, which is Sotapati Makha Citta 5, Sakatthakami Makha Citta 5, Anakami Makha Citta 5, Arahata Makha Citta 5. And for Lokuttara Phala Citta 20, there are 4 groups underneath it, which are Sotapati Phala Citta 5, Sakatthakami Phala Citta 5, Anakami Phala Citta 5, or Narahata Phala Citta 5. From here, you can see, if you cannot identify here, if you cannot identify the difference between communication language and Dhamma language, you cannot see the last diagram.
Yeah.
If you translate it, only citta, the mind. Yeah.
One citta, one mind.
Only the mind. And what happened? And how come you start to study Dhamma? You know, only the mind. But you don't know what lies beneath citta. Citta 121 and citta 121. is these diagrams.
I saw the difference in this diagram. Why you use green, why you use red and the purple.
Actually, it's blue.
Blue. Yes. Why you use a different
Okay.
color? Can you?
For the color.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I group it for you to can see
Easily
easily,
yeah,
yes, easily to classify it.
Yeah.
For the red one, it's akusala, or the bad things.
Oh, bad thing. Only a little.
Only a little.
12. Yes.
Only 12. And the green one for kusala, or the good things.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
For the
6.
good things.
Oh yeah, many.
And a blue one.
Yeah.
The blue one is the neutral. It cannot be good or bad, but it just it's neutral. It's neutral. Okay.
So Dhamma is not too hard, too difficult, because only 12 we can go to Kusala, isn't it?
Well, the purpose of Dhamma study is to control this one, to control akusala citta 12, and then develop develop ourselves by the teaching, by the study, by the Sikkha and study Dhamma. Then ourselves will develop from here into here, into here, and into here. There are certain conditions
Step by step.
Yes.
And another thing that I have see the difference. You see, you have Maha Kusala, and then Vipaka, and then Kriya. Okay, every type of Kusala Citta will have 3 types.
Yes. And there is things to explain here, but it might be too complicated to explain at this time. So at this time, I try to show you
the difference
between communication language and Dhamma language, and what Dhamma language leads you at the beginning.
Okay.
If you cannot identify it, as I mentioned before, if you cannot identify the communication language and Dhamma language here, you cannot see this diagram. You don't see this diagram at all.
Very interesting.
If you can identify the difference between communication language and Dhamma language. And now what next? What next? The next thing is we will help you, guide you to recite akusala citta 12 the easy way.
Please help me too. We start
from here. Akusala citta 12 here, right? It's under Kamautar citta 54. Kamautar citta 54, we have 3 groups, which akusala citta 12, ahetuka citta 18, and Kamautar sopana citta 24.
In 54 of Kama Vajra Citta, we have only red for 12.
Yes.
And for neutral 18. Okay, and 24 for Kusala. Okay, so it's not too difficult. Okay.
Yes. Okay, from akusala citta 12, it's categorized into Lopa Mula citta 8, Tosa Mula citta 2, and Moha Mula citta 2.
Lopa has 8, Tosa have 2, and Moha have 2.
Yes.
Okay.
This one.
Right. Very interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
And the name of these Lopa Mula citta 8. We start from Lopa Mula citta 8.
Somanasa Saha Katang, Titi Kata, Sampayutang, Asankarikang, Kama Vajra, Akusala, Lopa Mula Citta.
This is the first citta, right?
Oh yes, a little bit difficult.
Can you read the second one for them?
Somanasa Saha Katang, Titi Kata, Sampayutang, Sankarikang, Kama Vajra, Akusala, Lopa Mula Citta. Okay. Is this only difficult? Only 2 points?
Yes.
One
actually is one.
One is Sankarikang, and the second is Sankarikang.
Yes.
Oh, only 2 things.
And the rest of these 2, the same, right?
Yeah, the same. Only one point
This
for
one.
two citta.
For the first one and the second
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
only
yeah.
asankharika
Asankharika
and
and sasankharika.
sasankharika.
Okay, I recite one asankharika and the second sasankharika. The next one.
The third one.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Can you read it for them?
โสมนัสสหคตังทิติคตะวิปยุตตังอสังขาริกังกามาวจระอกุศละโลภมุรจิตตัง next one โสมนัสสหคตังทิติคตะวิปยุตตังสสังขาริกังกามาวจระอกุศละโลภมุรจิตตัง I see the difference.
Yes, you can you see the difference and the similar between the two citta and the third and the fourth?
Yes. วิปยุต and สัมปยุต
Yes. The
two วิปยุต two สัมปยุต and two วิปยุต
The first two citta is sampayut. The first of the two is asankharika, and the second one is sasankharika. The third and the fourth also the same. The third and the fourth is vipayut. And the third one is asankharika. And the fourth one is sasankharika.
So if you can recite only one citta, you can recite four. Yeah, okay. Very easy. Okay.
It's not that difficult.
Yeah. But at the first time, I feel difficult. Okay.
Now, for the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yeah.
Okay.
อุเปกขาสสหคตังทิติคตะสัมปยุตตังอสังขาริกังกามาวจระอกุศละโลภมุรจิตตัง I see the difference. What is the difference before for the fourth one and the fifth?
Actually, this one and the first one, the difference is only somanasa sakhatang.
You change to upekha sasahakatang. Okay. Very easy. Okay. Upekha sasahakatang.
And
the last one is the same.
Yes, and the rest is sampayutang.
Yeah.
Also the same as the first citta.
Okay.
And asankharikang, right?
Right.
Also the same.
Only change at the first phase, no? Okay.
And for the sixth one,
okay.
sampayut, you say?
Yes, the same.
And asankharikang and sasankharikang. It's the same pattern as the first and the second.
The second one. Okay, right.
Only ubekha and somanat here.
Yeah.
It's easy, right?
Easy.
Yeah, and the seven.
The seven. Upekha sasahakatangทิติคตะวิปยุตตังอสังขาริกังกามาวจระอกุศละโลภมุรจิตตัง the same.
Right?
The same as
the third one.
The first one.
The third one only somanat and ubekha.
Yes. And the eighth one.
The last one. Vipayutang and sasankharikang.
อุเบกขาสสหคตังทิติคตะวิปยุตตังสสังขาริกังกามาวจระอกุศละโลภมุตจิตตัง I know. If you can the first one, you only change somana to ubekha. Okay. And the first one and the second one is sampayut sankharikang. Sampayut and sankharikang. And the third one is vipayut sankharikang and vipayut sankharikang.
When you can recite these four,
only one you can recite
from somanat to upekha, then you can recite the rest.
Okay.
Four.
For me, I can recite 8 now. Okay, next one.
Okay.
Very interesting. Okay.
Right. Next one.
Yeah.
Thomanasa. Thosa mula citta. 2.
โทมนัสสหคตังปฏิฆะสัมปยุตตังอสังขาริกังกามาวจระอกุศละโลโทสะมุลจิตตังโทมนัสสหคตังปฏิฆะสัมปยุตตังสสังขาริกังกามาวจระอกุศละโทสะมุลจิตตังit's very the same. It's very similar, but it's not the same. It's different from asankharika and sasankharika. Yes.
It's as easy as this.
It's very easy. If you can recite for one lopha murajita. No, one lopha you can 8. And then you can recite one Tosa Mudita. You can recite
Two.
two. Okay.
Yeah.
The next.
Okay.
Okay.
This one for Moha Mulachitta too. The first one.
อุเปกขาสสหคตัง วิจิกิจฉาสัมปยุตตัง อสังขาริกัง กามาวจระ อกุศลโมหะมูลจิตตังโอ้อุเปกขาสสหคตัง อุทธัจจะสัมปยุตตัง อสังขาริกัง กามาวจระ อกุศลโมหะมูลจิตตัง only different for only a little bit
Only a little difference. Vichikiccha and Utthaja.
Oh, I think because we think that it's too hard, it's too difficult, so we shut down all Dhamma listening, all Dhamma learning, we shut down. So if you want to start Sikkha, you have to open your mind first. Open your mind that you have to start from kindergarten, like when you was very child, when you was young. You start from alphabet, then, but Dhamma Buddha alphabet is
Chitta 121.
100.
Cetasika 52 and Rupa 28.
Okay, so I think we can slowly go if you don't recite it. But if you can recite all Chitta 121, Cetasika 52 and Rupa 28, you can go all alphabet and
then this alphabet will come as a word, and words will form a sentence, and sentence into paragraph, and paragraph into article, and that will explain what happened in this world.
Oh, I know. So this is the difference between Dhamma language and
communication language.
Yes.
This is very important. It's very crucial. It's crucial.
It's
that
basic.
You must be able to identify the difference.
Yes.
And once you be able to identify the difference between Dhamma language and communication language, these two things leads to completely different paths. If you remains in communication language, you cannot understand Dhamma at all.
Yeah.
But once you understand Dhamma language, then this is the first step for you to enter Dhamma study or Sikkha. This is the step, the first very beginning steps to enter the path to Nirvana. And this will explain everything. In Dhamma has an answer, can answer every questions in this world. But to explain it to people, first, it depends on the foundation or the Dhamma knowledge that the person that we talk to. How much Dhamma that do they have? If they don't have any foundation or any knowledge about communication or Dhamma language at all, like further details. For example, like here.
Yeah.
For example, here. For a Sankharikang as a Sankharikang, it's not only the word difference, but these words. Under these words resides they lies the characteristics. For a Sankharikang, in short, I explain in short because in details you cannot understand at all.
Yeah.
For a Sankharikang, it's operate with Kaya, Vachi, and Mano. And for Sankharikang, these kind of things operate only with Kaya and Vachi. Mano is not included.
So it means that every word in Chitta, every word have meaning, but you no need to explain it. No need to find out what is the
things that
the meaning
that's
of
hidden in these words. It's also Dhamma language that hidden inside these words. You cannot translate these words by dictionary. If you translate them by dictionary, it will go back to communication language. That's why I said before that Tama language need no translation.
Can you translate in world language for โสมนัสสหคตังทิฏฐิคตะสัมปยุตตังอสังขาริกังกามาวจระอกุศลโลภะมุรจิตตัง a little bit
Well, I think in that way they can translate it
โสมนัส
themselves.
happy
Even
happy or not
even we don't have to translate for them
Yeah.
in English. I believe they might have already had translation in their Hindi language also.
yeah
But here,
but it no need
yes, be patient
Yes.
and don't rush it.
yes
Because these words, you need no translation, no need for you to open dictionary and try to understand what it is. But what lies inside, if you keep studying and keep Sikkha, we'll have more Dhamma language to explain to you what happened here, what Dhamma language that lies beneath each words. But before we be able to doing so, we need you to have a first start. The first start that wise we do emphasize you in this class that there are two
Recite.
things that you have to do. The first one is to recite Citta 121, Cetasika 52, and Rupa 28. This one is the first assignment. And the second one is to be able to see the difference between communication language and Dhamma language. These two things is crucial for Dhamma study. If you cannot meet these two conditions, it's almost impossible to study Dhamma.
you seem like go back to world language
Yes, normal people
Yeah.
normally people tends to translate it by
Yeah.
dictionary.
every
Once you
time
see things that you don't understand, here's what kind of language it is, you translate it back to your language,
yeah
and that leads it back to communication language. And that's why and that's why I tried to show you this diagram. Let me show you here. Let's see. That's why I show you this diagram. This diagram is quite important here. Let me show you here. Sorry. Here. This diagram. Normal people doing this. They use
Yeah.
communication language. They use their education. Once they see Dhamma, as you have just seen it, as you have just seen it, as Somana Sasakatan Titikata Sambuyutang Asankari Kanka Bavachara Akusala Lopomuchita. You go grab your dictionary and translate it each word back to your communication language. That is normal people do.
yeah
But what we insist that
we have to Sikkha,
Yes.
not learning
yes, start from zero.
Yeah.
Then we don't use our communication language, translate it.
yeah
Just accept it as it is.
Yeah.
Somana Sasakatan Titikata Sambuyutang Asankari Kanka Bavachara Akusala Lopomuchita. That's it. No
only
tran-
recite only
Only
recite
recite,
yeah
no
start
translation.
from alphabet of Dhamma language
Yes, no need to translate
Yeah.
it. Be patient at first, because it's very important, and it's quite uncomfortable for normal people at first. It happened to us also.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it's quite hard for us to not translate it, because we familiar with things that we
yeah we familiar
understand in our
with
language.
world language
Yes, we translate it back
Yeah,
into our
yeah.
language. So let's me summarize
Yeah.
what we learned from this class. The first one, the beginning step to study Dhamma. As we insist, there are two steps. The first one, recite Citta 121, Cetasika 52, and Rupa 28. The second one is identify the difference between communication language and Dhamma language. This is very important to beginning study Dhamma for Sikkha. The second one that we learned from this class is the difference between communication language and Dhamma language. Communication language, you need dictionary. And for Dhamma language, no dictionary needed.
only recite
Whenever you go back to your dictionary, please remind yourself that you are going back to communication language. Whenever you just recite it and you read and you don't go back to your dictionary just to enter Dhamma language, which is very confused at first. But at first you're confused, but in the long run, you'll see the components and the structure and the activities that works underneath it, worth it. And the third one, we introduced you to Chitta 121. And moreover, we show you the tips and tricks to recite Akusala Chitta 12.
Yeah.
Okay, that will be all of this class, right?
Yeah.
And we hope you
Follow our
you
class.
can understand
Yeah.
what we try to
Yeah.
mention in this class.
And follow our class every Saturday. No.
Yes. Next time, I think that will be a different Dhammacarya to teach you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions? Please feel free to ask.
Yeah.
Okay. So from our experience,
Mm-hmm.
for me, almost 40 years, I have been through the first day of Dhamma study.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that you might be very, very confused, and it's you're unfamiliar with it. Normal people, or if you ask other people, they will give you translation into your language,
Mm-hmm.
which is easy for you, but that leads to nowhere. That you cannot understand Dhamma by doing so.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard at the beginning. I know. I've been through it. We all have our first day,
We have
and we
have
passed
passed
that.
it.
And we passed that.
Yeah.
And with our experience, with my experience of 40 years, I do insist that it's worth it. And you will see the whole different world when you be able to identify the difference between Dhamma language and communication language. And you study and you start to recite Chitta 121, Cetasika 52, and Rupa 28. And from that point, keep studying and keep Sikkaya, and your point of view and the way you walk and the way you see this world and the universe and things that happen in your life will completely different.
Yeah.
There will be no questions and answer. Every question will have an answer by Gautama Buddha. But to understand that, you have to have the enough Dhamma foundation. The more Dhamma knowledge that you have, the more details of the answer of your questions you'll get. So that's why we have to be patient at first. It seems slow at the beginning, but with the right path and the right step, you go fast and directly to Nirvana in the future. I can tell you that it's worth it, but only selected people and the people with kusala that will have a chance to walk in this path. Not everyone have a chance to do so. Only small people and selected people. We cannot help you, but we only give you the information
Introduction.
and introduction to accept it and to study or start your journey. You need to do it yourself. We cannot do that for you. As you see that there is three responsibility of Puttha Jatuparisa. We have to study it ourselves. We have to explain it to others. And if anyone condemned it, we explain it to them.
Mm-hmm.
That is our responsibility. That's all we can responsible for.
Our responsibility too.
But we cannot responsible for you not to study.
Mm-hmm.
That is your responsible as Puttha Jatuparisa. You have to
Study.
accept this responsible yourself.
Mhm.
It's beyond our control. So it depends on you now,
Mhm.
whether you have enough kusala or not enough kusala to start your first step and continue study and sikkaya. And if you decide to do so, we need you to help us to deliver Dhamma to our next generations. We do need to have Buddha Jatuparisa to keep and hold and transfer Dhamma and Buddhism to our next generation.
กันบ้าน
As same as our predecessor that they keep Dhamma for us. They are 26 generations. They are 25 generations before us, and we are generation of 26,
Yeah.
and we are doing our job.
Mhm.
Okay.
Do we have any assignment?
Okay. For assignment, let's say we teach Citta 121 and especially Akusala Citta 12.
Mhm.
So if you can recite
At least.
Akusala Citta 12, that would be great. And if you can recite this 12 and you see it very easy, you can try to recite it 121. The rest of Citta also have that same
Pattern.
Each group of Citta has the trick and tips beside each group.
Yes, the same pattern like Mahakusala,
Yeah.
then Mahavipaka, and then Mahakriya Citta.
Yes.
Yes.
We can give them a file
Yeah,
that will lead them to clue for tips and
Yeah,
tricks
yeah.
to recite each group of Citta.
In order to more faster for next card,
Mhm.
if everyone can recite Citta, we can more go more faster.
Yes.
Yeah.
But as I said, slow at the beginning, be patient. It will pay back.
We will with you. We will
Yes.
with you.
Yeah. Because we do insist because we also have our first day, our first steps, and now 40 years pass. I look back from my first day and first steps, and I know what you feel, and it's hard. And until now, I do insist it's worth it. No question have in Dhamma we have answer for every questions. I do insist every questions. No questions has no answer here. Have answer from every question. And each questions, each answer that answered by by Gautama Buddha has no probability, has no exception. Everything will happen exactly as mentioned in Dhamma. No probability as you learn from education. No probability at all. Everything will happen exactly, no exception. Okay. That will be end of this class,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So Sadhu. Do you have any questions?
No question.
Right?
Or who have any question?
Okay. If
Okay.
there is no questions, that would be end of this class.
Yeah.
So Sadhu.
Sadhu. Namuti Paniti Panta Anumotami. Sadhu Ka. Sadhu. Dr. Tom.
Sadhu.
Yeah, Sadhu.
Last time, do they introduce themselves, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Sankiti, please help us for this. Sankiti, Thamamita, and Gora, or someone can you help? Sankita, yes. Who can help us? Thamamita or Sankiti?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you help us for your group?
Yes. He is What's the name?
Once.
Vansh. Is Vansh? Pratham,
Yeah.
Adesh, Tanmay, and come here, Ritesh.
Two.
And one more girl is there. Come,
Two.
Two.
and she is, and she is Deepika. She is Deepika. Yeah. So this is my group, which is learning with me.
No. Yeah. Who going next?
But they're still young.
Yeah,
They're so
yeah.
young.
Very cute.
When I first started studying Dhamma, I was 6 years old. I started when I was 6.
Sankiti.
Yes,
Yeah. Let's start.
I think many people already left.
Oh,
Okay.
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 Yeah.
Few people.
I think
One is Dr. Vinay Pashwan. He is also running Buddha Global Academy in Kesopur. Dr. Vinay Pashwan, can you show yourself? Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah. We also, our group also go regularly to his school sometimes to give Dhamma class. He'll run very well, and we also inviting here in Vivatta time to time all the students. So we keep in touch with them and hope they should recite Chitta 12. Next session, maybe they have some residential student, they also will join. And other thing, who is Bipul, I think he left. Bipul left. Ruby Didi, can you show yourself? Ruby.
So I didn't see Sankiti yet.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling well actually. My health, not a good condition to open the camera.
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Who's
That's
going
okay, no?
next?
Okay. Okay. It's
Okay.
okay. Thank you, and see you in next class, right?
Yeah.
The next class will be other Tamacharya, I believe.
Okay.
Who's the one? Awata was?
Avatar.
Yeah. Who's
I think last time we introduced.
Okay, that too.
Yeah.
Avatar, you can introduce yourself. I think it's better.
Yeah.
You introduce by yourself. Your English is good.
Yes. My name is Avatar. Actually, really, I'm so much thankful for your this opportunity. You have given us this great chance to learn about Dhamma, and really, it's so much pleasure, so much kindness from your side for us. Like we are for starting from very beginning, and it is a very kindness from your side, and we are so much happy.
Yeah,
So much happy. Thank you. Thank you.
Sadhu ka.
Yes,
How about
and
Vipin? How about Vipin, right?
Vipin.
Vipin Guma.
อยู่ไหม
This is
Vipin is left.
no. This is on the. I see in the.
Vinay, actually Vinay Pashwan.
Vinay Paswan.
Dr. Vinay Pashwan. I already introduced him.
Yeah.
I read it. Vipin Guma.
Not here.
Not here.
Not here now. Ruby दीदी,
Right. Okay.
अपना कैमरा ऑन करेंगे क्या? Ruby दीदी. Please introduce yourself, Ruby didi. Okay, I just introduced Ruby. She is a teacher. She is a teacher in government school. Basically, she is the elder sister of Gaurav in Agra, and we also run Dhamma class in Agra. There is a high school that 2-3 years I go with IA. And she is also helping a lot during we deliver Dhamma. There is also one Sakya community where she also arranged for Dhamma class. And till now, she joining with us. I think since 5 years.
โอเค สาธุ
สาธุค่ะ
Sadhu.
สาธุค่ะ
so that's all
That's
That's
all.
all.
So
See you next class, right?
next Saturday. Yeah,
Next Saturday.
the same time.
The same time.
Mhm.
Yes.
Not same ธรรมจริยะ
maybe the same
Okay สาธุค่ะ
สาธุค่ะ
everyone
สาธุค่ะ สาธุ
สาธุค่ะ
นาวุติอุปนิธิพันธะอนุโม
อ
ทา
นุโม
มิ
ทามิ